fine, But
Just making sure.
We're going to do the tender, right?
yeah, it's not in place. Like her face started turning blue, and she goes, "I'm close." And I go, "To what? Dying?" And I'm just,
Oh, boy.
All right. Welcome back to Between Downs. What was it?
Oh, my God. Yeah, so back to Between Downs. So, some big breaking news today. Russ getting benched for the remainder of the season. Pretty much ending his time in Denver. Writings on the wall. Happened last year with Derek Carr. It's a little bit surprising, basically, with them being still in playoff contention. Actually, still even having a shot at the division, you know? And to be honest, he hasn't been playing bad football.
Yeah, the losses aren't on him.
The losses are not on him.
I didn't understand why they benched him.
So he has been fumbling a little bit lately. That's understandable, and it's really coming down to their red zone production. They're in the bottom 10 in that regard. Their third down efficiency, they're in the bottom 10 of that. And just how many times they get sacked. But, I mean, that's on the O-line. You can't really help Russ in that regard. So, yeah, it's shocking, but I think the writing was on the wall basically when Peyton was yelling at Russ on the sideline a couple weeks ago. And like I said, Russ was brought in before Peyton. So, and it's just like when a quarterback gets drafted and a new coach come in, that's not the guy, that's not my guy. That's your guy. So, it's definitely going to hurt them financially, I think he's due $39 million guaranteed regardless. Mm-hmm. And the main reason why he is sitting now is they basically know that they're done with him. They don't want him to get hurt in these final two games. And then another $37 million guarantee contract kicks in for a catastrophic injury. So they're trying to save some coin, whatever little they can, but it's definitely going to hurt them in the cap next season. They have two real options. They can either cut him before the June 1st priority date, and then it's just an $85 million cap hit or dead money hit for the 1 year, which I could actually see them doing. Might as well just take it all down 1 year if you're kind of in that rebuild process instead of doing 39 and 43. Or like I said, they can, release him post June 1st, split it up. I think it's 39 and like 40 something the next year following. Yeah, I didn't see it coming. It definitely shocked me. But I guess you can say, like you said, if you looked from previous history, when Peyton got into the building, he was done with Russ's BS from the beginning. Team 3 got booted out of the building. He's like, we're not doing that here. And that's kind of how he is. So it's shocking that it's happening now, but like if this happened next week, I'd be like, okay. But right now you're still in contention. It's definitely interesting. So I guess I'll turn it over to Cody, the Denver fan. What are your opinions on this?
My thoughts are it's too late now. Like you were sitting at like 3-6 at the bottom of your division, and everybody's wondering what's Russell Wilson's future and what are you going to do with that huge salary that he has. And then you play him the rest of the year, and now you're in playoff contention still, and you go to bench him. Your only two options with Russell Wilson is to either keep him and just deal with having that cap hit every single year, or releasing him. Like no other team is going to take that contract on for an aging quarterback that is not as great as he once was, but is still pretty good.
Yeah.
As good once as he ever was.
I mean, yeah, it's a song that exists.
Well, he's basically untradeable with that contract. So, and they know that, so that's why it's obvious he's going to be released. Yeah. But it's, when do you do it? Do you just go ahead and release him beforehand, deal with the $85 million dead cap hit, but you know what? It's 1 year, you're done with it. If you're still trying to rebuild a little bit the way Sean Payton wants it, you can kind of keep it as like a safety year, let Jared Stidham, kind of take over for that 1 year, see if maybe he can do it. If not, you play bad enough, you're able to get a high draft pick, and then you can draft a quarterback in next year's. Because there's plenty of good guys that are going to be coming out, like Quinn Ewers, Shedeur Sanders, So the possibilities are there. They're most likely going to definitely probably split it up. But, I mean, like I said, we're not in the front office, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough sell either way, whether or not to keep him or release him or whatever. Like, he has to pass a physical before I think like March 1st in order to get the $39 million for next year as well.
Well, that 39 is guaranteed.
Yeah,
regardless of physical.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that because of that they make a decision on what to do. As of right now, you're not sitting in a spot high enough to be able to take one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks. So you'll have to deal with top 5. Hopefully, top 5 quarterbacks are that are coming off the board, or one of your guys and one of Sean Payton's guys that he'll be able to get, because I still believe that Sean Payton is the correct fit. And I hope that he does find his guy. Maybe Stidham is his guy, and I don't know. I'm not there every day at practice. I'm sitting in Myrtle Beach, just contemplating what if. So, I'm hoping that Stidham is able to come in and do pretty well and get us a playoff spot, or at least play spoiler for the Raiders in the final week, to be able to knock them out of the playoffs, or whatever, and just. I just hope so. I know somebody has a plan. I just don't currently know what it is, and that makes me worried as a Denver fan, because that's a lot of cap space taken up by one individual. I mean, he is Mr. Unlimited, not playing like Mr. Unlimited, but still Mr. Unlimited nonetheless. If they do part ways with Russell Wilson, I will be happy to not have to see the Broncos Country Let's Ride commercials anymore. That would be great.
Super awkward.
Even as a Broncos fan, I am already done with those.
And it looks awkward for Russ in the commercials. It looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. So, and if you're Russ, maybe you can play a couple years of baseball, or something. I don't know. It just seems like an odd situation all around, like with how you came into Denver and how Sean Payton dealt with your team of guys. That's the weird. I don't know.
But that brings up the what if though. Like if he gets released, which we kind of know that's probably what's going to happen.
That's what's happening for sure.
Do you see him getting picked up by somebody, and who?
There's only a few teams. I was really looking through it all, and I'm like, who's really wanting to not deal with a rookie QB, or they may draft one but have another one to bring in. Atlanta seems like a big one to me, because the NFC South is really still gettable. They got a good defense. You got a great running back with Bijan once he's utilized. Drake London's playing good. Kyle Pitts is finally playing like he's supposed to as a 4th overall pick. And they have the cap space to kind of be able to handle whatever he would want. It's not great cap space, but it's enough. Another big team, Washington, they just benched their guy, Sam Howell. Maybe they just think, he's not ready yet, give him some time. They got the most cap space next year, so they can definitely afford it. And, now are they a QB away? No, that defense still has to get picked up for sure. Yeah, and another one, New England,
Yeah.
I think they would rather deal with a veteran than a rookie QB. And there's a few other hits
and if Belichick's there, then that coaching... the coaching for Belichick might be good for Russ.
It might be. And then there are a few other outliers, Giants, you don't know what they're doing, but they just signed Daniel Jones. They're going to be dealing with their own cap stuff issue.
You got the Vikings, who... talks are they want to move from Kirk Cousins.
My heart is, if you're going to move on from Kirk Cousins, you don't need to sign Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They're basically the same person, and Kurt knows your system and he runs it well. I don't see that happening. I could see Pittsburgh, to be honest with you.
Pittsburgh would be a good spot for
Now, do we have the money to do it? No, not really, but I think Mike Tomlin could definitely coach Russ up well enough. we have enough pieces to where I think he'll be able to perform well.
Yeah,
Plus,
you got young receiving.
well, when you look at it,
Fryermuth.
we would run the same type of situation he had when he was early on in Seattle. Defense would be the sustainer. Great run game.
Run the football.
So all you have to do is just make key passes when you need to, and don't turn the ball over, and not getting sacked. You know, we're decent enough in that. But it's a stretch. They're still committed to Kenny. If it was like Kenny's first year or Kenny's fourth year, and they were like, we're kind of done, I could see it happening. I think that's also a stretch. Personally, it's either Atlanta, New England, or Washington. My heart says Atlanta because, you know, big major city, a lot of stuff going on down there.
Overall young team. They just need that veteran
Overall
presence.
young team. And I really think they are a quarterback away from definitely taking over the NFC South. That's for sure. But I also think they could make a decent run in the playoffs because whenever you talk about Atlanta and them playing a game against somebody, it's how's the quarterback going to be? Who's the quarterback going to be?
Yeah, I think they're a quarterback and maybe one or two key defensive players away from being solid dominant in the NFC South, which is not hard to say compared to the teams that are there, but I think if they got those pieces, it'd be hard to overtake them.
Yeah.
And a quarterback definitely puts them up there.
Yeah, if they had Russ over, you know, with what was going on with Taylor Heineke and Ritter, I would probably say they have, 2-3 more wins, and they're in sole possession of the NFC South. But again, that's also depending on if they want to do that. But you could also, like I said, and I don't think they're going to have a high enough draft pick like Denver because of their record to snag a great top QB, Yeah. So it's like, why not if you feel like you're a QB away and the veteran market's kind of up and down, because again, you don't know what is happening with Kirk Cousins. He also has injury deals. But Russ is playing decent ball. Now, how would he do with Arthur Smith as his coach? I don't know. We also don't know if they're going to keep Arthur Smith.
Get rid of Arthur Smith.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I'd get rid of Arthur Smith, get a decent OC, do all that. But, like I said, Atlanta seems like the best fit. Or it's like he might go be a backup, somewhere. I don't know where. It could be where a team does draft a young guy and they kind of settle in. But, yeah, when I was looking at the teams, it just doesn't make sense. Because with Atlanta, great defense. They're 6th in points allowed, but they are bottom 10 in points scored. So, obviously, they need help scoring points on the offense. And Russ is able to do that enough, especially with that squad, because that squad's way better than what he's got in Denver. Courtland Sutton's okay. Jerry Jeudy's up and down. Javonte Williams, when he's healthy, he's great, but you don't really know how that's going to go. So I think with Bijan, Algier, Patterson, London, Pitts, it's a more niche squad for him. And I think they, again, would play the same type of football where it's like, we don't need you all the time, but we need you in the right moments.
Yeah. They need a better game manager.
Yeah.
I wouldn't also be surprised if, speaking of the NFC South, to see even New Orleans give up on Carr and let Carr walk.
Well, I could see that, but then Jameis Winston's there. It's like if you didn't have Jameis Winston as your backup, and you're like, we're done with Carr, I could see that. But if they just say no to Derek Carr, who's been playing better as of late? Like I said, first year in the system, dealing with a head coach that's known for defense. We kind of all know how that goes.
Still want to see Jameis play.
And to be honest,
Let him sling it.
Well, I think Jameis, I don't know when his contract's up. He might also leave too, just to try to feel out these different spots. Will he get signed probably mainly as a backup or like a veteran mentor like Andy Dalton? Most likely if he does leave. But again, that's up in the air as well. But just like I said, in regards to Russ, he's definitely done in Denver. And it's just shocking from them because you gave up so much to get him.
So much.
Doesn't throw a single snap. You signed him to 5 years, $200+ million. And it's just mind-blowing how bad of a deal that is. Like, it is definitely up there with one of the worst deals of all time. Like, close to, like, I don't know about Deshaun's yet because when he was in, he was playing okay, but they're paying a quarterback $230 million and he's chilling on injury reserve, and you got a guy who just came off his couch winning games. So
Flacco.
So that one, but yeah, right now it's just looking like Seattle won this trade hand over fist. They're still in the they're in the playoffs. They're fighting for it, and they got all this draft capital now. So
and Gino and Lock have been playing good.
Yeah,
like both. It didn't matter which one was in. That just shows you how well coached the team is when you can put in your backup and still win.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Drew Lock played well enough, but he's not.
Well, he didn't turn the ball over.
He's not a certain quarterback.
Anyway, he threw 2 touchdowns and he didn't turn the ball over. That's all you can ask for.
That's all you can from a backup. Yeah, but he's not a guy you're going to start the franchise with.
Oh no, that's why I said
you need
that's why it shows how well the team is.
Yeah, like I said, when you get a backup in, and let's say you got it for like 4 weeks, if he can win you half, 2 out of the 4, that's what you would want, But and again, they play great. Seattle's doing a good job with what they're doing with. Denver-wise, though, like I said, writing's definitely on the wall. We saw this deal with Carr last year. They didn't want him injured. They basically said, no, we're done with you. But I think Russ is still technically the backup. So if something does happen to Stidham, is he going to go win, or are they going to take the third, or is he going to act like Zach Wilson was and be that third emergency quarterback? Because they definitely are pretty much done with him, even with playoff contention. It's definitely a mystery. It definitely surprised me, but it's a business standpoint at this point. They're just like, we gotta get rid of it. We gotta get some fresh meat in here. They are saying we believe more in Sean Payton than we do in Russ, which is fine. I get it.
And the CFL's always an option.
It is. Some more benchings that we talked about earlier. DeVito getting benched for Tyrod in the second half. Dable giving Tyrod the nod this week, saying that he earned it, even though literally 2 weeks ago he said DeVito earned it. So it feels like he's just like, we just need a quarterback out there that's not going to screw the pooch, and right now that's Tyrod. And if Tyrod starts screwing up, then DeVito's going to go back in. Dabo's just fighting for his job. I think it's safe. Don't know what they're going to do at the quarterback spot. They're probably going to draft one, would be my guess. Or, because I think they'll probably cut Daniel Jones, maybe. We'll see. He's just, first year of the $40 million contract. That's up in the air. But I feel bad for Tommy, but he had his time. He had his Linsanity window in New York.
Linsanity.
And hey, I mean, he'll forever be in New York lore. He'll probably still be in the NFL, at least as a backup somewhere, because he did well enough as a starter with the team that he had in a very tough, division. So it's like he did enough to keep his spot in the NFL. As a starter, though, no, unfortunately.
Well, this one hurts. This one hurts me. I love Tommy DeVito. I wanted him to be in there. I wanted him to finish. I wanted him to do everything. But, Brian Dable, you got to be out there. You're just earning and burning, snapping next cash and checks. I trust Dable to go with the right decision for his team. He thinks it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. I think it's DeVito, but that's because I'm biased. I liked his Linsanity run. But what he has done has definitely made himself a spot in the NFL. He's going to be the new clipboard Jesus. Shout out to Charlie Whitehurst. There's a reference.
Old Clemson product.
Yeah. But I think he'll be there, be a serviceable backup for a while, whether or not they stick with old Danny Dimes or they draft a quarterback. I mean, if you're the Giants, you're trying to still look for your franchise guy like you had with Eli, like draft them all. Just go all 7 rounds. Just draft 7 different quarterbacks. One of them's got to be the guy.
One's got to hit.
One's got to be the guy. So just draft all of them.
I don't understand why teams don't do that. That all they need is a quarterback. Like they're good everywhere else.
You just need a quarterback.
It's like, why don't we just take as many chances as we can? Unless there's that one player in the draft that you don't pass on, just draft more than one quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking Washington did it. RG3 then took Cousins in the 4th. What happened? Cousins ended up taking the starting job.
When you go to the gas station, you don't just buy one lottery ticket, do you? Most people buy more than one.
Yeah, I only buy one
I
scratchy.
only buy one.
No, not scratchy. I'm talking about like the big one.
Just get a scratchy.
When it hits $1 billion, how many lottery tickets do you buy? You don't go in there with $2 and you're like, just give me one $2 ticket.
I do.
surprisingly
I don't have a
didn't-
lot of cash on me.
I surprisingly I didn't buy any of them.
But most people are like, I want to take the
Yeah,
best
most
odds.
people are like, I want my best.
They give them a
odds.
20 and they're like, give me 10 tickets. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not saying draft 10 quarterbacks, but
I
like,
just want my scratchies.
Yeah.
Here's
No.
$5. Give me a scratchy. Which number?
I mean, it's
No,
like you
just take
know,
it.
like in the later rounds, most of the people that you're going to draft, they might not even make the team.
They're not
in
gonna
spring
make the
training.
roster.
So why not draft more than one quarterback?
See them all.
See them all in spring training. Sign them to rookie deals. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then just
Well,
be
you can
like,
only have a certain amount of
I know.
quarterbacks on the roster.
now they have that
too.
emergency spot though, and you can just be like, all right, this is what we got. So if you keep one veteran, sign 2 rookies each year. If they don't pan out.
Yeah, I mean,
You're gone.
I can see that. That's an interesting way to go about it. Probably not going to happen.
No,
but
I mean, it's not
that's
gonna
one way to
happen.
look at it. I just do it like fantasy, yeah. But
All of our
That's
fans,
why we're fans and not GMs.
all of our
Yeah.
fans now can tell why we're not in the front office for anybody.
But another one, Howell being benched in Washington for Jacoby Brissett. Like I said, he was playing bad down the stretch. Even though he was lighting up the field with passing yards, he kept turning the ball over. Most sacked quarterback in the league. Now, that's not all on him, but some of it is. I don't know if that means they're done with him in Washington. Also, we don't know what the deal with the coaches. I think Ron Rivera's out, which means a new coach is coming in. That new coach might want a new quarterback. You know, will Sam Howell still be on the roster? Yeah, still on the rookie deal. Will still be in the organization, so they'll want him there for at least a veteran presence. But could they draft a rookie QB? It's possible. I think they're sitting at number 3 overall now, with New England's win. They're now 3rd overall. No way you're going to get Marvin Harrison to deal with it. Do you want to go with a defender? You could. Do you want to go with an O-line? You could. If you think Sam Howell's your guy, the answer's not going to be. It's not going to be written until they know what the coaching situation is.
it comes
Once
down
the
to
new
the
coach comes in, then we'll have a better idea. Sam Howell will still be there. Will he probably start at the beginning of the year? It all depends. I would love to see it, actually, because I think it would be funny if they end up drafting Drake May, because then two UNC guys, they would know each other. There's probably some love lost there. But, yeah, so... I mean, he's had a decent year, but it's his first year as a full-time starter.
Yeah, I think they're moving
The
on from it too soon.
potential is there, but I get it also, you know, you're not in the playoffs. That's done. You don't want him to get hurt just in case, you know, if he is the savior. Like, what more does he need to prove? You kind of know where your hiccups are in that offense. So they're more like, hey, let's lose a couple more games. Maybe Arizona wins a game or two, and we're able to squeak into that number 2 spot. Because then you know what? If you like Sam Howell, you're trading that number 2 for draft capital. And then you can build more around it. You can get that O-lineman that you need. You can get that defensive end that you've been wanting to create the pass rush.
Yeah, you'll trade away in a year or two.
Secondary. I mean, yeah, it's like they have options. But... Again, him getting benched, it's surprising, but not like I can see why. It's definitely laid out.
I think his issues will come with experience, though. I mean, the turnovers, yes, we know that's an issue, but didn't Peyton Manning lead the NFL in turnovers his rookie year?
He did.
Significant.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so it comes with experience.
He's
Like
also
going from
number 1 overall
college.
pick, not a 5th round.
Yeah, still, but I mean,
Yeah.
Sam Howell's a gunslinger. We saw that. If you put him in an offense that's high powered, he can succeed.
Well, that's also because Eric Bieniemy is running the offense
Exactly.
that way.
Bieniemy.
Now, does that mean if Ron Rivera is out and Bieniemy is staying, is he staying as the OC or are they giving him the head coaching job? That's also
the world may never know.
yeah. So if they keep Eric Bieniemy, I think Sam Howell's staying. He's going to be your starter. They're not going to draft a QB. They are going to do that where they trade down, gain more draft capital, and then draft pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can definitely do that.
And they're young on offense. I mean, they're fairly young on offense. Because they have a really young backfield.
Brian Robinson, rookie, I think.
Second year, right?
Second year.
He got shot the first year.
Yeah, that was it. Craig Rodriguez, I believe he's a rookie.
He's a rookie, I believe.
He's
yeah.
a rookie. Your receiving core, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel.
Samuel's got some.
Samuel's
he's a
got-
veteran, but
He's a vet,
McLaurin's still
but
young,
you know
right?
what? It's
McLaurin's
still
still-
good enough. And, Dotson, Logan Thomas. So the pieces are there. They definitely just got to rebuild.
Dotson rookie or second year?
Second year at
Second
Penn
year,
State,
yeah.
So it's like, if you build the O-line and shore up that defense, I think they'll be fine. Like I said, they have the most cap space next year. They're going to be able to sign some big free agents coming up. Whether that is free agent O-line or probably more on the defensive side would be my guess. But again, you're not going to know until the coaching situation gets figured out. And like I said, if it is Bieniemy, Hal's there to stay. If they bring an entirely new coaching staff altogether, his job's a little bit in question.
Good old Riverboat Ron, who went for 1 4th down and then somehow got the name Riverboat Ron. I guess it was because he gambles on trading away most of his defense and still hoping that his defense is good.
Well, he's not the GM. He's the coach.
He's not, but
You
it's
know,
fun.
he
It's
probably
fun to think it falls on him.
Yeah, but it doesn't. He's the coach. He fought probably tooth and nail as being the defensive guy. He's like, no, you can't trade away my two
Yeah,
pass
we don't know. Behind closed doors, it could have been a surprise to him, and he could have been like,
They're
"What the hell are
both
you
gone.
doing?"
He's
Yeah.
probably sitting there looking at Sam Howell going, how the hell did that happen? Fun play on words with Howell's name because, it's fun. But yeah, I think they might be, they're not in a full, they won't have to be in a full rebuild. They would be in just a shift here and there with a couple of extra pieces. And it's not like their division's going to be, that easy to win. So they're going to have to really have to really figure it out to try to get to be in the top of that division. So it'll be an interesting off season for Washington, and I like Sam Howell. I have when he first came in. I'm not sure what they're looking for out of his benching, other than just maybe seeing if a game managing style quarterback like Jacoby Brissett would be a better option. So that way, if they were to draft a quarterback, they could pick somebody that has more of a style of a Jacoby Brissett, as opposed to a Sam Howell. Maybe that's what they're looking at. I don't know. Time will tell.
I think it's mainly just either injury standpoint or actually, I think it's all injury standpoint because you're either keeping him healthy for next year if you plan on keeping him, or you hold on to him and keep him healthy and then you can trade him. It's one of the two. He's still on a rookie deal. He's proved that he can definitely sling the ball. If he's got a better O-line around him, maybe he does better there. So I think that's the main reason. Has he played bad? Sure, but you're already eliminated from the playoffs. What's it matter,
Yeah.
So if it was a different scenario for them, then it would be a little bit more eyebrow raising, So I think it's just mainly we want to keep him healthy because either he is our future or we're going to trade him away and grab someone else later on. But
Maybe they're worried they're going to have another Jameis Winston in the league.
who knows?
30
but
guy.
I really like what they got going on next year for the offseason. I mean, like I said, most cap space. They picked up Chicago's second rounder, which is going to be in the top 40 most likely. Mm-hmm. You got San Francisco's third. That's going to be more in the bottom half, but you can definitely use that as a trade piece.
That's right.
So, and like I said, if they do get high enough on the draft boards, and they do want to keep Sam Howell, they can trade back and gain themselves another first rounder next year, or that personal year before, and then you can really build that offense and defense into something magical. And like I said, you got the cap space to do it. So it's like, I really like their future, but it also comes down to who's going to be making the decisions. And that's where it's been. But like I said, they got a new owner. I think it's Josh Harris. They're not dealing with Schneider and all that
Schneider.
So I like where they're at. I think they have a game plan set for it, and that's probably what it is. Once the coaching decision is made, then you're going to see all the pieces fall together. But yeah, so a few others things we got. One that's been bugging me a little bit, and this is just from a local standpoint because I love him. I think he will probably be traded. Hunter Renfrow. He's just not getting utilized in that offense anymore once Jacoby Myers got picked up. So I think he's going to get traded. His contract is so-so, but
It's hard to get utilized when you have Aiden O'Connell at quarterback.
not even that though. But the problem is
got
he's
a
just
mustache.
not getting the targets.
Yeah,
He's had 30. He got targeted once last week. He has 37 targets on the year. This is a guy that 2 years ago caught over 100 balls.
And his one target this past week, it was man-to-man coverage, and he was draped all over. Like, it was just a throwaway.
But that's
pass,
my
basically.
thing. So you've only thrown to him in 15 games, 37 times. That's insane. A guy that was a Pro Bowler, had a 1,000-yard season, almost broke the receptions record for a wide receiver for Oakland 2 years ago. Now you don't even throw him the ball. I understand you got Devontae Adams. He's definitely going to garner most of the catches. Jacoby Myers is great too. But he can play. He's a great slot. He doesn't get utilized. They're loving that other kid too. I think it's like Hutcher or Hunter. I can't remember his name. They drafted him. He's kind of been taking over that third receiver role. He's going to be traded. I don't know to where. I feel like he could be used in a lot of different places.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of offenses that could use.
There's a lot of
a slot
offenses that I
receiver
think
like him.
will trade for him. His contract isn't too bad. He's proved that he can run routes. He can get open. He has a great catch percentage. His drop rate is super low. That's why I think, personally, Kansas City could use him.
Yep, Kansas City.
1,000%. You got a guy with reliable hands. He can play the slot. That opens you up for... And when you got Mahomes throwing you the ball, and you got a guy that knows how to get open, there's some magic there. But will Kansas City do it?
It's like Brady and anybody in that offense at the time.
Yeah, will Kansas City... But will Kansas City do it? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably just draft a receiver this year and call it a day. But I believe Renfro services will definitely be warranted in the NFL. It just all depends where.
Bring it back home, Carolina. I mean, there's no standout wide receiver there.
I actually thought about that too.
Yeah, I mean, bring him there. Give him Bryson Young. Give him that veteran. Like, it's hard to think that Hunter is being a veteran now, but he is.
I know. That's what shows our age.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too. Like I said, you put him in the slot. That doesn't. Then Adam Thielen, in his older age, doesn't have to be draped over the middle. He can focus on the outside. You give Renfro a security blanket that knows how to make the catch, and that's not a bad deal either. I don't know what their cap situation is. They can probably afford it, most likely, with Bryce being on a rookie deal. So, yeah, like I said, there's definitely some options there.
I can say, if he did come to Carolina, I'd probably buy his jersey.
I'd buy that jersey, hands down.
I see him going wherever Belichick ends up going.
So the Chargers, where they got everybody?
I feel Belichick will end up in Los Angeles with the Chargers.
There's no way they're going to do an in-divisional trade. It rarely happens.
It does rarely happen. But to be fair, though, with Keenan Allen after Mike Williams put out, no one stepped up.
I get that,
Like,
but
a few games here and there, but like everybody expected Palmer to step up, or what was the other guy, Quentin Johnson?
Palmer had a good game a couple.
That's what I'm saying. No,
ago.
they had like one or two good games, but no one stepped up consistently.
But that receiver room's so full.
I feel like you'll put Keenan Allen on the outside, you'll push Quentin Johnson to the outside, you'll give up on Mike Williams, he's injury prone, and then you'll move Renfro to the slot. And you don't. I mean, you have Gerald Everett right now as your tight end. I don't think he's your long-term tight end, so I also think that you go in a different direction there as well. So I feel
think
like
depending on how they finish, they could take Brock Myers. You know.
Yeah.
Or
Bowers.
sorry, Bowers. Brock Bowers. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Myers, the Raiders.
That's a possibility too, and you would still have a void in the slot. So I feel like, and if anybody could figure out the best way to use a slot receiver, it's Bill Belichick.
Well, I mean, but Bill's not running the offense though. That's the thing. I know he could.
Bill's running everything.
Bill doesn't run the offense.
He runs the NFL.
He's never ran his offense, so it's all depending on what OC. If an OC likes a slot guy, then great.
I mean, we definitely know he's running the defense. I mean, have you seen his son on the sideline?
I know he runs the
Josh
defense.
McDaniels back.
Like, trust me, if Bill was staying in New England, then yeah, that would definitely make sense. But like we said, we don't know what's going on
until they figure out their quarterback. Look, Bailey Zappi, I think, is better than Mac Jones. I don't think he's the answer.
They're going to draft a guy.
No,
they'll draft a guy for sure. Or, like I said, they may snag a veteran if they think they're a veteran QB away. I don't believe they think they are. I think they're going to be in a rebuild stage because if you look at all the other pieces around them, it's not super great. Like Ramondre Stevenson, fine running back.
And he's still young. Was it his third year?
Third year, but your receiving core is just hot garbage. You know, Juju.
Other than Hunter Henry, who's been a solid tight end, he's just
Bring in Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Bring in Jimmy.
So, like I said,
Let him take it over.
I feel bad for Hunter. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's making plenty of money, not doing much. So good on him keeping his health under him.
Yeah.
But he's being underutilized. They're going to trade him just because the cap hit's not worth it. I feel like they can probably get, with his salary, probably a 5th rounder for him. 5th or 6th would be my guess. Maybe a swap pick of some sort too.
And as a Miami fan, I'd give up a 5th or 6th for a slot that's experienced.
Sure.
I could see you guys using him too, you know? That leaves up more room for Hill because Barrios is fast, but
we don't utilize them as much as I thought we were going to. In the offense.
When Hill's open, 50 yards down the field and
Yeah.
no one's within 20 yards of him, you don't need to throw to Barrios.
And River Craycraft, we used him a lot, but he's been injured this year.
I feel like Hunter in Miami would look like Jordy Nelson in Green Bay. Like you would just forget that he's on the field. You're like, oh, we got to get Tyreek. We got Jalen Waddle. I was like, who's that guy behind us? I was like, oh, that's Hunter. Should we cover him? No, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with Tua, with his quick release, if Hunter's there and open on those short routes, he just go to town.
Well, like I said, it all depends on the offense and if they have the desire for him.
Send him to Jacksonville. He can go back and play with.
Oh gosh, Jacksonville's done. They're not even a franchise anymore.
Yeah, but again, I hope for the best for him. I just had to do my tidbit on that for them. But another deal, like I said, the Baltimore-San Francisco game, was a pretty much one-sided victory. I think we all saw the true Brock Purdy. Not in a sense of where he's going to throw 4 interceptions a game, but to the point where he is not the MVP of the league. He should have never even been the odds-on favorite ever. I don't care that he has stats like this or that. He proved to you that he is just a guy in a great system. And who else did that was Sam Darnold. He literally came in, went 4 for 5, 81 yards, and threw a touchdown, which Purdy didn't do versus that defense. And he did it with a backup line. They literally had no other linemen left on the field. So, Trent Williams was out and all that. So he was still able to do it. That just proves that Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing with the system. Jimmy Garoppolo did it. He was able to handle it. So
it's what we've preached.
It's what the world has preached, except for Brock Purdy's friends and some idiots that don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. So we're finally done with that. Lamar beat him soundly. Brock Purdy had a horrific game. So he's done on the MVP conversation. It's back to probably the 2 main people that should be talked about. Lamar, because he is a QB, he's leading the league in wins and all this other stuff, and CMC. And that's the way it's going to flow to. I think Lamar, again, is still going to win it because he is a quarterback. Does he have the stats to really say, oh, he's the number 1 QB player in the league? Not really. His team's winning. Is it because of him? You're damn right it is.
Which is what it should be about. Most valuable player. If you take him off of Baltimore, they're under 500 team.
That's the definition, yeah. But same can be said with CMC. You take CMC off of there, and CMC, again, he's going to have over 2,000 purpose yards. He'll probably lead the league in total touchdowns, depending on how these last 2 games finish and how Mozart does. But most likely he will from a non-quarterback passing.
It's still another shock that as old as he is, he's still up there.
Yeah.
Mozart. It just blows my mind.
So I just feel like I'm just glad that Purdy is done, and we don't have to talk about him being as an MVP. He's a good quarterback. He knows how to run that system, which, might be well enough to win them the Super Bowl, which is great. But the fact that he was even in the conversation just did not make sense. It never made sense, and this Baltimore game more than proved he's not an MVP. He's just a quarterback that knows how to run a very, very, very good system well.
Which is what every quarterback in the past couple of years has done in that offense with Shanahan. It's because we talked about Jimmy G did it. Sam Darnold, which we know is not a good quarterback in Carolina.
Or
He
the
had
Jets.
some- or the Jets.
Seeing ghosts.
Another
like-
good quarterback and fill in the blank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he had 1 or 2 games, just like any quarterback, as Cody's saying, blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then.
Yeah.
But you put him in that offense, and it's like, I didn't expect Darnold to come in and score a touchdown.
So
with the
quickly, too.
Yeah, so quickly. I mean, after the game that Purdy had up to that point.
Yeah, and it wasn't like McCaffrey was running the ball, because up until then, McCaffrey he already had 100-plus yards rushing, and then I think he rushed for maybe 2 or 3 more yards after that. They were just slinging the rock because they were down.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if he had his starting O-line, I think Sam Darnold could have went down and possibly tied that game up.
Yeah, I mean, they were in position to make it within a touchdown, and I mean, he was forced to throw. It was 4th down. He had to throw it up. So I mean,
I don't blame him on that. They could say, "Oh, there's the old Sam Darnold." It's like, no, he took a sack with his 4th string O-line in,
trying to make a play happen.
Trying to make a play
choice.
happen. So then you got to make a forced throw. Yeah. So
Who knows if they put him in sooner? Who knows what the game would have
They'd have won state.
the problem is
They put him in,
they're
they
not
won't
going to do that. Brock's
Oh, yeah.
earned the starting job, and it's like, I get it. And basically, he had to come out because he had a stinger. I think Kyle Shanahan was just like, this is just not your day. We're gonna you hurt yourself a little bit. Cool. We're gonna rest you. So
Yeah,
you're
I'd
safe
love to
for
hear that in the
playoffs.
headset. Like, hey, I need you to go down because you're coming out, but I don't want this to look bad.
No. He definitely got hurt on one of the sacks, but I think he took that opportunity to say, look,
I'm gonna remove myself
this
from this
game's
situation.
Go ahead and
he's
make a
like,
change.
well, no, Kyle
This is
Shanahan's
not
like,
your
look,
game.
this game's pretty much done. I don't want to risk your health. We'll keep you ready for the rest of the year and call it quits. And, which would have been fine, but he's sitting there with his helmet on, ready to go. Like, he looks like he's ready to throw. And I think it was more just like he realized, like, man, I'm having a crap game. And then
It's
he
like
goes.
Gino, last week? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but Gino came out and did what Drew Lock did the week after. So
But I'm saying, like, Gino was ready to go, in full pads, and they're like, nah, we're going with Lock. And it's like, that's...
Which is fine, but it's
Skeptical.
still Gino's team and it's still
Yeah,
Purdy's
yeah, oh, no,
team.
no, 100%.
But Gino doesn't have an MVP vote. He wasn't an
Yeah.
odds-on favorite, so it's a completely different situation. But yeah, I think the MVP is right where it needs to be. Another one I want to talk about.
Well, we did have a fan that wanted to chime in on the Baltimore game as well, so...
Yeah, he'll be chiming in.
We'll hear from
definitely.
him.
We'll hear from him a little bit later.
Yeah. Another one that just really annoys me to my core right now because I am a Steelers fan. This is Defensive Player of the Year talk right now. For some reason, T.J. Watt is 3rd.
This is the grind your gears with Donnie.
Yeah, this is really.
What really grinds
I
my
will look at
gears.
any account. What really is grinding my gears right now is that T.J. Watt is 3rd in the league in projected odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. Who's ahead of him, you ask? Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. I'm going to spit some facts out at you. These 2 players that are supposedly ahead of T.J. Watt have less sacks than him, less tackle for losses than him, less interceptions, less forced fumbles, less fumble recoveries, and less defensive touchdowns overall.
What else?
And less pass defense.
There we go.
Yes. So literally every statistical category, he is better than these dudes.
And his mom loves him more.
Yeah. And
They're
somehow
not on the Steelers.
and somehow he is 3rd. It's a travesty. A little other known fact, Micah Parsons, they're saying odds-on favorite. All right? He's playing on the Dallas defense. Oh, they're so great. They're a top-tier defense. I'll put it to you this. Dallas has allowed 19.1 points per game. Steelers defense, 19.4 points per game. Bigger turnover margin, number 1 in the league, is the Steelers. And then strength of schedule. This is where it really gets crazy for me. I understand Dallas is 10-5, Steelers are 8-7. We lost to some teams that we shouldn't have lost to. Completely understandable. But that's mainly the offense's deal on that. But you're letting TJ Watt get punished. Strength of schedule, all right? You got Pittsburgh with a 520 strength of schedule. Dallas's 45-8, So we're talking a whole 7 points less than the Steelers in terms of strength of schedule. Then you have strength of victory, which really blows my mind. Steelers' strength of victory is 54.2%. That is number 2 in the league. Dallas, 38.2%. Bottom 5 in the league. So everyone's like, well, Dallas is 10-5. They're 10-5. Cleveland's 10-5. No, what's happening is just like it's the Aaron Donald situation all over again. They are on a better team because of their record, but it's not who is the. If we want to do that, not basing off of stats, just going off a better record, then Florida State should have been in the fucking playoffs. But the reason why they're not is because they're fucking trash. You go with a team that is way better at their position. And that's TJ Watt, hands down. The fact that it's even an argument that there are other people ahead of him is baffling to me. And like I said, these guys aren't even close in stats. Micah Parsons has 4 less sacks than this man, like 10 less total tackles, and 6 less pass defense. It's ridiculous. Like the fact that it blows my mind. I think, now don't get me wrong, if the Steelers lose these next 2 and they get up with a losing record and Dallas ends up 12-5 or whatever, then they'll most likely give it to Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett.
But Bland deserves it more than Parsons.
Yeah, that's my thing. Parsons, you know what? You could take him out. You still got other people rushing the quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Parsons is a disruptor. He is one of the mainstays on the defense. But if you took him out, Dallas is still gonna win more than not because one, their offense can score a shit ton, and their defense can do enough to hold you off. Same with Cleveland. You lose Myles Garrett, guess what? You got Za'Darius Smith on that end. You got Denzel Ward in the secondary. You got great linebackers. Again, Myles Garrett, big disruptor. He's going to be taking on some double teams, which leaves other people open. But that defense is still going to be rock solid. We saw last year. When they lost TJ Watt, they were a complete shell of themselves. And that's what it means to be a defensive player of the year. When you're not on the field, your team is just sitting there with their dick in their hand wondering what to do. And so that's my grind gear segment in regards to that. I hope TJ just comes out, gets 3-4 more sacks, gets to over 20, really blows it out the water, and pretty much says to them, you have to give it to me. But he's ran into that issue before. Did it with Aaron Donald in, I think, 2020. Same thing, beat Donald in every statistical category. Pittsburgh even had a better record than the Rams. But for some reason, they gave it to Aaron Donald because he's a fucking D tackle and Watt's on the end. Like, boo fucking who, you know? So...
Man, I was upset that year too because Xavier Howard had, what, that's 11 interceptions?
He had 11 interceptions. He did great, but, you know...
He didn't even get looked at. He finished like 4th.
He was third. But regardless, like, I feel TJ has earned Defensive Player of the Year. He's at least earned the right to be the number 1 overall odds maker. And for sure number 2, but the fact that he is number 3 makes zero fucking sense, and it shows me that these people do not know what they're talking about when it comes to defense. So, yeah, that's where I'm at in that. I don't know what your guys' opinion is on the matter, but you definitely know mine.
I think you need to grease your gears.
Now would be a good time to say that viewer discretion advised in our show. We do have some foul language.
Yeah, when we're talking about Pittsburgh, it's gonna come up in any way, shape, or form. Especially one of my guys is just getting pigeonholed every single step of the way.
And again, not taking anything away from the other 2 that are on this list. They both are very phenomenal players, and it's going to be a very close race. And, you know, eventually a champion will be crowned. If not, we'll have a 2-man sack race held on consecutive Sundays until a champion is crowned. But that's neither here nor there. No, that's all I have. I have nothing else. I'm kind of at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if you think that's just, yeah.
I know.
Let you take the...
We'll bring a soapbox next week for
Yeah.
him to get on his soapbox to really let it loose.
But so yeah, well we like I said, we got a special guest coming up to explain. He's got a few ideas in mind on some certain teams, and we're excited to hear it.
Wonderful.
All right, well we'll be back
After this.
after this broadcast message.
After this broadcast message.
We should make some big commercials.